if you build software, you know the drill. We ship code incredibly fast, but security testing? Yeah, that almost always lags behind. It's a massive bottleneck. Well, today's explainer is all about a total paradigm shift. We're looking at Strix. It's an open source tool that basically acts as your very own ethical safecracker. It literally brings attacker-like logic right to your local terminal. And we're going to break down exactly how it pulls this off.
We have got a packed agenda today. We're going to meet Strix, the AI hacker, walk through the installation and setup, target the OWASP Juice Shop, decrypt our scan results, look at pipeline integration and automation, and finally, go over how you can contribute to the project.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Meet Strix, the AI hacker.
Think about traditional security tools for a second. They're kind of like perimeter alarms, right? They just tell you, hey, a window might be open. They rely heavily on static rules and predefined signatures, which usually means dumping noisy reports full of false positives onto your desk. Strix is fundamentally different. It behaves less like a static checklist and way more like an active investigator. It actually mimics real attackers by running your app, clicking around, and manipulating inputs. And the absolute game changer here, every finding is backed by a working proof of concept. No more guessing.
Out of the box, this thing is armed to the teeth. It's not just blindly running scripts. It uses an HTTP proxy to manipulate requests and responses, browser automation to test complex flows like logins, and get this, a full Python runtime to write custom exploits on the fly. It is actively hunting down everything from access control issues to complex business logic flaws.
Moving on to Section 2, Installation and Setup.
Now, you might be thinking, setting up an AI hacker sounds complicated, but the gear set up for this is remarkably developer-friendly. You don't need to be some seasoned penetration tester. The prerequisites are just two simple things. First, make sure you have Docker running on your machine. Second, grab an active large language model API key from a supported provider. That's the engine that powers the AI's reasoning.
A super quick check in your terminal by typing docker -- version will confirm that the Docker engine is active. Once you get that output, you are entirely ready to start pulling down the tools.
From there, installation is an absolute breeze. Just drop a quick curl command into the terminal. Specifically, curl-ssl strix.ai/install, pipe to bash. You'll see Strix downloading and installing locally in a matter of seconds. Next up, you just configure your environment variables. This is where we give Strix its brain. You pass in your specific API key and define the model you want to use, like an OpenAI GPT 5.4 model, for example. You can also tweak optional settings here, like how much reasoning effort the AI should apply. And boom, success! The terminal spits out the Strix logo in ASCII art, letting you know the sandbox image pulled perfectly. You now have an AI penetration testing agent sitting quietly on your machine, just waiting for a target.
Which brings us to Section 3, Targeting OWASP Juice Shop. Because every heist needs a mark, right? If you aren't familiar with OWASP Juice Shop, it's essentially a modern web application that is intentionally riddled with security vulnerabilities. It is the perfect training ground. We can spin it up locally in total isolation using a single Docker run command on port 3000.
With Juice Shop up and running, it's time to execute the heist. We type strix-n-target http localhost 3000. That -n flag is super important. It means we're running in non-interactive headless mode. We are basically taking the leash off and letting the AI do its thing, without any hand-holding.
Okay, Section 4, Decrypting the scan results. Let's see what happens next.
The real-time feedback you get here is just fascinating. The terminal starts showing Strix deploying multiple agents, like 3 agents in this specific run, utilizing over 60 different tools. They're collaborating, mapping endpoints, and attempting exploit paths. It's deep in the reconnaissance phase, actively probing the app exactly like a human red team would.
Now check out this number. Even with all that heavy exploration, consuming over 2.5 million input tokens to deeply map the attack surface, the total cost for this massive scan? It's about $1.50. Seriously, when you contrast $1.50 with the thousands of dollars a traditional manual pen test costs, the scalability of Strix is just mind-blowing.
And for the postmortem, Strix gives you way more than just a pass or fail. All the internal logic, the AI's thoughts, its actions, they're all saved locally. You can open up the events.jsnl file right in your IDE and read exactly what the agents tried, the specific payloads they injected, and how they reason their way through the app's defenses. It's total transparency. Let's move to Section 5, Pipeline Integration and Automation. See, Strix isn't just a manual run-it-once-a-year tool. It thrives as a fully automated part of your CI/CD workflow. By just dropping a simple YAML file into GitHub Actions, you can have Strix perform a headless security scan on every single pull request. It checks out the code, installs via curl, securely grabs your API keys through GitHub Secrets, and runs a scan before any flawed code ever touches production. This completely flips the script on the traditional testing bottleneck. As the source material points out perfectly, instead of waiting weeks for a pen test report, you get results in hours. You're catching validated issues, again with actual proofs of concept, and fixing them immediately while the code is still fresh in the developer's mind.
Finally, Section 6, Contributing to the project. Because this is a totally open-source project, you can actually build out the Safecrackers toolkit yourself. The workflow is exactly what you're used to. Fork and clone the repo, use Poetry to manage the Python environment, write your new feature or testing skill, run your tests, and submit a PR. It's an incredibly welcoming setup to help make the tool better for everyone. Look, security can't just be an afterthought anymore. When we have tools like Strix that bring active, attacker-like logic and concrete proofs directly into our local environments and pipelines, it really forces a tough question. You have to ask yourself, is your application actually secure, or is it just untested? So are you ready to run your own ethical heist and find out?